So a lot of times an event is over, and then the finance team or the marketing team will go back and say, oh, what happened? What happened, it's great insights, but the most important thing, the event already happened. So whatever you lost in terms of demand or anything is gone. And that's why a lot of times when you lose something that it was not expected, you tend to do a lot more promos that it was not in your strategy to pick up this space that you left off behind. So real-time adjustments, it's very critical.
Hello and welcome to the AI Master Group podcast, featuring the people who are building the future of AI in their work today. I'm your host, Jim Griffin. Today, I'm very happy to have as our guest Jeffrey Spyropoulos, Director of Digital Analytics at JCPenney. Prior to that, Jeffrey's had senior analytics roles at the likes of Sally Beauty, Bloomin Brands, HSN, AT&T. He holds a master's degree in statistics from the University of Chicago. Welcome, Jeffrey.
Hello, Jim. It is a pleasure being here. Looking forward to this exciting session.
Thank you. It is. It's really interesting. I mean, we've just heard that you've had some key roles at some very notable consumer and retail brands. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey so far?
Yes. I always loved applying mathematics in solving real world problems. And that is why in high school I loved statistics. So I was lucky in a sense that I knew immediately the field that I wanted to focus on early in my life. So I was, just to go a little bit back, I was born in the States and I was raised in Greece. So after high school, I left Greece to relocate back to the United States to do my studies. So as you mentioned, I got my bachelor's degree in applied mathematics from State University of New York at Stony Brook. And then I went for my master's degree in the University of Chicago in statistics. And then I started my career here in the United States. I first joined the Nielsen Media Research Company. Back in Florida, Dunedin, where I provided statistical analysis around user activity for home and work internet usage. It was the beginning of the internet rating era. I remember there was a company back in California that we were supporting that we were calling Net Ratings. So after that, I moved back to Greece and worked for the banking sector. So I changed the sectors. Started with the Commercial Bank of Greece and later at Citibank. And that was the first time I started building statistical models to improve our targeting methodology for card and loan holders. I also built churn models for our wealth management portfolio. Then I moved on and I got into the telecommunication sector, where I joined Vodafone and I led the CRM department there. I managed all analysis for our prepay and postpay segments. I also built customer lifetime value models. I built cross-sell models, always with the intent to create more loyal customers, more sticky customers, more engaged customers, as we were introducing more products for those customers. Then I moved back to the United States. That was back in 2014 when I joined AT&T. So I went from a telco to a telco. And specifically when I joined AT&T, I joined the credit and collection department. And that was the time that I was exposed in credit modeling. So I was not exposed in credit modeling before. So that's, again, statistical modeling in a different area. So credit modeling was really interesting for me. And after that, I joined several retail companies like HSN, Sally Beauty, as you mentioned. Currently, I'm at JCPenney leading the advanced analytics organizations in all these companies and the digital organizations. Have worked on machine learning models for assigning weights to produce attributions for products, providing insights on what attributes to focus on that drive product conversion, market basket analysis, recommendation engine models, providing insights on which products to cross-sell in order to create stickier customers. As I mentioned, customer lifetime value models, which were used primarily to identify which customer characteristics create loyal customers, helping us to create actions for lookalike audiences in order to increase customer frequency and thus revenue of the customer. Marketing attribution models, which provided deeper insights on which channels have the biggest impact on conversion, allowing us basically to shift our marketing spend according to the channels that provide most of the benefits in revenue. So many different companies in different sectors, but I was always stuck in the analytics area. This is what I love doing, and I haven't deviated from that.
Straight arrow forward. Well, you've built so many different models, and some of these models, you think about customer lifetime value models and recommender models and so forth and so on, all these things that you've built over the years at different companies. So you know deeply about those. When it comes to that, and especially in retail, there's always this decision that's more and more salient today about build versus buy. So I was wondering what you see as the key trade-offs between those options and maybe advantages and disadvantages of each of those.
Yes, and it's an interesting topic because I have faced them in almost all the companies that I've been in. So what I have to say is when deciding between building a solution in-house or purchasing an existing solution from a vendor, I think it is important to understand the current maturity of the company in the analytics space. It starts with the DNA of the company. How much data insights play a role in everyday decision? How much is the company willing to invest in modernizing their analytics capabilities so they are not left behind as the analytics world evolves very fast and many companies are left behind? So in order to catch up, they need to do major organizational restructures, which sometimes they are not willing to do so. And they rather go with a vendor who is the leader in the solution that they are looking into bringing in the house. So the retailers, basically, they must weigh a variety of trade-offs between buying or building, and the specific needs that they have, the resources that they have, and at the end of the day, their strategic goals. And an advantage of building in-house is that it allows for a high level of customization. It ensures that the solution perfectly fits the retailer's unique processes, customer needs, business goals. This can be critical for retailers who want to be specialized with specialized requirements or a desire to differentiate themselves from others. But the disadvantage is that it requires significant time, expertise, and resources. It can be challenging to create a robust solution from scratch, and the complexity increases as more custom features are added. On the other hand, an advantage of buying is that you're getting a really made, often fully tested product, right, with predefined features. This is ideal for retailers looking for standard functionality without the need of significant customization, and vendors often offer industry best practices out of the box. But the disadvantage is that those solutions are usually limited in customization, and particularly if the retailer has unique requirements or competitive differentiation is a key for them. So several factors one is cost from the cost perspective. Building a solution in-house can potentially lead to long-term savings if the solution is strategically aligned and maintained well, especially when avoiding recurring licenses fees. At the same time, the upfront cost of building a custom solution can be significant as it requires investment in software development, infrastructure, and skilled teams. On the other hand, buying a solution actually, usually does not have unforeseen costs, right? The vendor comes and says, this is how much it will cost. It typically has a clear pricing structure. And the vendor usually handles the updates, the maintenance of the platform, the support, which reduces the burden on the retailer's IT team. But at the same time, it can lead to long-term dependencies on the vendors, which costs potentially can be escalated due to licensing fees, upgrades, or additional features requirements. And I've seen that in my life. Like a lot of times, the initial cost is small, but then the company starts realizing that what my initial ask was compared to what I really want to build is much different. And with the help of the vendor, they get into a direction that it was never thought by the company themselves. And even though the initial cost was small, when you start adding all these features, it became a burden.
You're listening to the AI Master Group podcast.
And I've seen that in my life. Like a lot of times, the initial cost is small, but then the company starts realizing that what my initial ask was compared to what I really want to build is much different. And with the help of the vendor, they get into a direction that it was never thought by the company themselves. And even though the initial cost was small, when you start adding all these features, it became a burden. So another big factor of deciding that is the ownership. So when building in-house, the retailer owns the intellectual property. It can modify it as it needed and has complete control over the data, features, future developments, anything. This flexibility can be a major competitive advantage. But at the same time, this comes with great responsibility. The retailer must handle updates, security patches, compliance. Any issues or bugs must be fixed internally, which requires continuous investment in developer resources and IT support. But when buying, it shifts that responsibility for ongoing maintenance, updates, and support to the vendor. So this is particularly beneficial when it comes to security and compliance, as the vendor typically handles these aspects, but the retailers are reliant on the vendor's roadmap for new features, updates, and support. So if the vendor discontinues the product or changes its pricing structure, the retailer could be forced to switch solutions at significant cost and effort at that time. Another big factor for me is innovation. So when you build something in-house, it fosters innovation, allowing the retailer to experiment and innovate without being constrained by the limitation of an external vendor's product, which, as I mentioned before, most of the times is out of the box. This is particularly important for business seeking to push boundaries and differentiate in highly competitive markets. But at the same time, it can be risky if the project fails to deliver the expected outcomes. So in situations like these, the retailer could end up with a costly, underperforming system. But then when you buying provides access to the latest technologies without the need to invest in research and development. Somebody else does it for you. Vendors often stay ahead of industry trends, right? And continuously improve their products. They want to be competitive, giving retailers access to cutting-edge features without the associated development cost. But purchasing solutions may be lag behind specific innovation needs. Vendors cater to a broad customer base, and the product may not evolve fast enough or in the direction that aligns with a retailer's unique strategy. The final factor that I will mention is integration with existing systems, and that's a whole big chapter that it has I've seen in the past with buying or building something in-house. Building a solution can be designed to integrate seamlessly with existing infrastructure, legacy systems, or proprietary tools. But the integration can be complex, and the success of integrating in-house systems with other external or legacy systems depend on the skills of the development team. Thus, the need of the company investing on these skills and the expertise and bringing that in-house. Off-the-shelf solutions, on the other hand, are built with integration in mind and often come with APIs and connectors for popular enterprise systems. And this simplifies the integration process and reduces compatibility issues. But some of the self solutions that the companies bring, the vendors are bringing, they may not integrate well with highly customized or outdated legacy systems that the company may have. And it requires workarounds or additional investment in middleware to ensure compatibility. So, as I said, if the projects are not thoroughly put in paper in terms of processes and everything, unexpected costs can easily be surfaced few months down the road once the project has started. And a lot of times, some companies, they cannot turn the time back. So, so in a nutshell, building in-house is best suited for retailers with highly specific needs that require customization, unique competitive advantage, or specialized systems. It's ideal for those who have the resources, technical expertise, that's why they have invested, and the patience to develop, maintain, and innovate on their own systems, right? Where buying is ideal for retailers who need fast, reliable, and scalable solutions with standardized functionality. They don't look for something extra. It works well for those who want to avoid the high costs and risk of in-house development, preferring instead to leverage the expertise and ongoing support of an external vendor who is the master in the area that they're looking for the solution. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the decision between build and buy depends on the retailer's specific requirements, budget, timeline, technical capabilities, and the most important, long-term strategic goals. Where do they want to go? How do they see their future?
That is really great, the way you lay that all out. And this is a strategic continuum. On the green side of that continuum, you were talking about things like strategic competitive advantage. And on the red side of that continuum, you were talking about risks of things like falling behind strategically or competitively. There's this continuum. And I'm wondering, picking up on that theme from where you sit, what are some of the best applications that you see right now for achieving a competitive advantage with AI and ML?
Yes. So some of the best applications I've seen, especially in the retail industry that I've changed a few companies, for gaining competitive advantage with machine learning and AI, is several areas. One of them I will definitely put recommendation systems. Everybody talks about Amazon and Netflix, how they use machine learning to provide highly personalized recommendations. Leveraging user data and preferences, businesses can really improve customer satisfaction and retention. So recommendation systems is something that evolves and is very critical. Because everybody talks about personalization. It's in almost everybody's textbook. But how to approach and how to come up with solutions on that, I think recommendation systems is very powerful. Another one is dynamic pricing. Retailers and e-commerce platforms use AI to analyze demand, competitor pricing, and consumer behavior in real time to adjust pricing, maximizing the profit and maintaining competitiveness, basically. So dynamic pricing is very important. The customers has become very smart. They spend every dollar where they see the value. So you have to have a good value statement in order to gain that customer's trust to spend that dollar with you. Supply chain optimization. AI models predicting demand, managing inventory levels, and optimizing logistics. Predictive analytics helps avoid overstocking, which is a major issue for many retailers, reducing costs and improve customer satisfaction. Sales forecasting. With AI, you can analyze historical sales data, economic trends, and customer behavior to provide more accurate sales forecast, enabling better business decision and resource allocation. And I will sit a little bit on the sales forecasting, because sales forecasting is something that a lot of times companies, they look themselves versus a forecast. If the forecast is too aggressive, or if it's not aggressive, basically is way far from accuracy of what is truly happening, then they may be chasing their tails on something that they are not able to achieve. So they may be underperforming or overperforming versus a number that, if it hasn't been sophisticated calculated, then it may be off and throwing off all the strategies for the company. So the company may say conversion is not doing well, or we should be in November where the season starts, a holiday season starts, we should be at this level, we are level maybe 10% lower or 20% higher. So you may be making wrong decisions if your sales forecasting is not pretty accurate. And it takes a lot of work. Targeting advertising, another area. AI algorithms analyzing vast amounts of consumer data to create highly specific customer profiles, enabling hyper-targeted ad campaigns that increase conversion rates and reducing advertising costs is important. Customer segmentation, models that can create sophisticated customer segments based on how the customer spends, the behavior and the preferences of the customer, allowing marketeers to tailor their messages and offerings to those segments. Chatbots and virtual assistants. AI-powered chatbots are becoming increasingly advanced, handling customer queries, resolving issues, and even making product recommendations, leading to higher customer engagement and satisfaction. Another area is sentiment analysis, using natural language processing models, which can analyze customer reviews, social media posts, and other forms of feedback to gauge public sentiment about a brand or product, allowing for timely adjustments for the strategy that the company has. These applications not only drive efficiency, but also open up new revenue streams, making AI a crucial investment for business seeking a long-term competitive advantage. I truly believe that.
Those are all great. So one of the things that's interesting about your background, and I have a background in this too, is you have a formal background in statistics. And so I'm very interested, of course, we're talking there about stochastic models. And probably there's a bias in the world of today towards models that don't require stochastic assumptions. How do you see AI transforming your particular field? What kinds of challenges are being addressed or might be addressed more effectively using AI?
Yes. So one of the areas that I see AI that can address more effectively, especially in the retail area, is fraud detection. Fraud detection, retailers face a lot of times significant losses due to payment fraud or return fraud. So machine learning algorithms can analyze transaction patterns in real time to detect anomalies and flag potentially fraudulent activities, helping retailers mitigate losses and enhance security. The other area that I see is inventory management. Retailers often struggle with overstock and stockouts, linking to lost sales or excess in inventory costs. AI algorithms can really analyze historical sales data, seasonal trends, and market conditions to forecast demand accurately, which this will help optimize inventory levels, reducing waste and improving availability. Personalization, as I mentioned before, everybody talks about it. Consumers expect personalized experience, but retailers often lack the tools to deliver tailored recommendations. AI can analyze customer data, such as browsing history, purchase behavior, any preferences of the customer, to deliver hyper-personalized product recommendations and targeted marketing campaigns, which will lead to higher customer engagement and satisfaction. Thus, more stickier customers. Dynamic pricing. Setting optimal prices that reflect demand while remaining competitive is complex. AI can help in analyzing competitor pricing, market trends, to adjust pricing dynamically, maximizing revenue while maintaining competitiveness. A lot of times what I've seen with retailers is most of the times we act after the fact because we lack the real-time power of AI. So a lot of times an event is over and then the finance team or the marketing team will go back and say, oh, what happened? What happened, it's great insights, but a lot of times you cannot reproduce 100% the next time the event happens. And the most important thing, the event already happened. So whatever you lost in terms of demand or anything is gone. And that's why a lot of times when you lose something that it was not expected, you tend to do a lot more promos that it was not in your strategy to pick up this space that you left off behind. So real-time adjustments, it's very critical. Customer retention. Retaining customers is often more cost-effective than acquiring new ones. Yet many retailers struggle with engagement. And AI can analyze customer behavior to identify at-risk customers and implement targeted retention strategies, personalized offers, and loyalty rewards. Rather than one size fits all or a fits all a big segment, you need to be much more tailored to the customer. And as I mentioned before, the high returns that a lot of customers are bringing to the company, right? So high returns can impact profitability and create logistical challenges for the company. And especially during holiday seasons, that can pick up. So AI can analyze these return data to identify patterns that the humans cannot identify just by looking at 5 or 10 or 15 different factors. Forget about even putting them together at different time periods and seeing any patterns. It's very hard. And that's why AI has so much power to untangle all this spaghetti that is happening. And it's helping retailers implement better return policies and improve product recommendations to reduce returns. So by leveraging AI to address these challenges, retailers can enhance efficiency, improve customer experience, and maintain a competitive edge in a very increasing dynamic market as we're experiencing and we will continue to experience.
It's like drinking from a fire hose, all the different things that one can do. If I think about all of these different opportunities, are there any methods or technologies that you have your eye on right now that seem especially promising?
Yeah, there are two areas, especially in the last few roles that I've been, that in terms of technologies, it's very promising, and that is the hyper-personalization that I was mentioning before and dynamic pricing. So in terms of the dynamic pricing, basically AI algorithms that analyze the demand and competition and inventory to adjust price in real time, which will give the retailer the option to optimize pricing strategies and maximizing the revenue. That is something obviously that we're working with finance organizations in different companies, but dynamic pricing is very, very promising. And it's a new technology that evolves, obviously. And I think this is something I have my eyes on. And the other one, as I said, hyper-personalization, which basically is used to provide personalized recommendations based on real-time user data. Now I'm working on the digital space, so browsing history and how customers navigate through our online shop is very important. Identifying the customer is even more important, to find out that the customer came to our site 10 times, yet it only bought once. A lot of times we miss these chain of events. And the advanced recommendation systems, like those powered by deep learning and transformers, can suggest highly relevant products, improving conversions and customer satisfaction, which basically this is where we want in order for the customer to come back and consider you for the next trip and the next dollar that they want to spend.
Yeah, two very key areas. I completely agree with you, both of them. Personalization, number one, and dynamic pricing, number two. And the dynamic pricing has got all these other fingers into other things like what's happening with the competitors, keeping that intelligence open, what's my inventory level, all those different things are part of that dynamic pricing. It's very complicated, but it's solvable now, I think, yeah. So I'm going to come back to some of the remarks that you made at the very beginning, and especially we saw how You have a very nice career, really. You starting all the way back with your education. You were very clear on what you wanted to learn, what you wanted to master, and then your work and how one engagement led to another, and then coming back and forth across the ocean, and in some cases keeping the same industry sector as you moved across the ocean, in other cases evolving. So you've done that really well. And I wouldn't want to miss the opportunity to say, for the next generation coming out of universities now, maybe studying in fields related to data science and so forth, what advice would you give them as they make those important first decisions about their career?
Yeah, that is a very interesting question. I think it it requires, my advice is in several areas for these people that are coming out of the university and they're looking to do exciting things in their lives. Let me put it this way, because everybody wants to go to work and do exciting things, learn new things, right? We're always going to be students, to be honest with you. I always learn every day. The difference is that somebody pays me right now to learn versus in the university, I was paying to be taught. But for new graduates entering the data science field, first is you need to identify your interests and strengths. The data science encompasses various domains, including machine learning, data engineering, business analytics, research. Explore different specializations to find what excites you the most. Leverage your background. Consider how your educational background and personal interest can influence your career path. For example, it could be that if you have a background in healthcare, you might want to do something on the healthcare analytics, which is very fascinating, to be honest with you. DNA analytics, another area. So this is very fascinating. You definitely need to gain practical experience through internships. That's something that I did back when I was at the University of at Stony Brook, State University of New York. Internships and projects, very critical. You need to seek internships while studying to gain hands-on experience. A lot of times we say, okay, what we learn versus what we apply is different. I will say that what you learn is very important to understand how to apply things, but you always have to understand and have that question in your mind. What problem am I solving and who is interested in this problem? So participating in projects that allow you to apply theoretical knowledge in real world scenarios is critical. You need to build a strong portfolio focusing on problem solving. Create a portfolio that highlights your best projects. Include the codes, visualization, insights. At the end of the day, what are the insights, the recommendations that you provided by analyzing this data, by working on this project? Include projects that demonstrate your ability to solve real-world problems and provide actionable insights, as I said. This is what employers value at the end of the day. They don't care how complex the code is. They don't care how smart you are if you cannot provide solutions in their problems that they face day in and day out. Network and building connections, very important. Attend events, participate in data science meetups, conferences, workshops to meet professionals in the field, interact, learn, always learn from people in the field. A network can lead to job opportunities and mentorship. Stay current with industry trends. Data science is a rapidly evolving field. Commit to lifelong learning by taking online courses, reading research papers, following industry leaders on social media to keep your skills fresh. I personally still do a lot of training on site. And I have registered for many online courses too. It never ends. You will never learn everything. There is no way you know everything. But it's very important to not be left behind. Consider company culture and values. That is one of the most important advice I have to give. When job hunting, consider the company culture, values, and mission. Look for the organizations that align with your personal values and offer a supportive environment for growth. Be open to diverse opportunities. As I said, data science is applicable in various sectors: finance, healthcare, retail, technology, you name it. Be open to exploring roles in different industries early on in your career to find what fits you best. If you find it challenging to land a data scientist role immediately, consider starting in related positions like data analytics, business analyst, to build some experience before transitioning to more advanced roles. The key here is to remain curious, proactive, and adaptable as you navigate through your career. That is number one if I have to sum it up. And always I hear from, even when I interview people, I think at the end of the day, as I mentioned, no matter how smart you are in data science or building codes, building AI solutions, if you are not curious of how your work can be translated to an advantage of the company, your work will not go far. Because it's not academics here that you're doing a scientific project, that you're talking to scientists. You're talking about a company that has real world problems that they need to solve, where in the academics, a lot of times you want to do some prototypes. And the one that is most accurate, let's say, wins the prize. But in retail and in companies, it's not always the accuracy. You need to take under consideration many more elements. Like somebody will say, how easy is it to implement? If nobody can implement your solution, even if it is 100% accurate, most likely will go down the trash. So it's very important to bridge these two worlds of the great analysis and data science that you can provide to the organization, but then at the same time, how that translates for a benefit to the organization. What problems does it solve?
Wow. Well, I am not the least bit surprised. This was an amazing conversation, Jeffrey, as I knew it would be. I know you, and I really want to thank you for spending this time, and especially for that really valuable advice right there at the end. If someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
So I have a LinkedIn profile, Jeffrey Spyropoulos. I also have email that people can get in touch with me. My email is J as in Jeffrey, S as in Sam, P as in Paul, Y as in yellow, R as Robert, O as in orange, P as in Paul, at windowslive.com. That is one of the best methods. But between LinkedIn and email, these are the two methods of getting in touch with me and contacting me.
Wow, that's very generous of you to share your email. And of course, LinkedIn, I know that you're very accessible on LinkedIn, so that's great. Well, once again, Jeffrey, thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure to reconnect with you today on this podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Jim.
You've been listening to the AI Master Group Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Griffin. Until next time, stay curious and stay in front.